What's up guys, it's Tom here and welcome to a brand new football news video, and the main topic will be today that Liverpool will be crowned Premier League champions one way or another, because there is a big article in the Times newspaper that the FA would block the Premier League attempt for a null and void season, and also that if they want to abandon relegation, then the FA would block that. So in this video we will reveal to you guys that there is absolutely no chance whatsoever for the Premier League to null and void the season, because the FA still has the veto and the biggest decision on that, and the FA chiefs would block any attempt to declare the Premier League season null and void, and also to abandon relegation. It can be revealed by this Times article, so we will take a deep dive on what that means. But the biggest news is that Liverpool will be champions either by finishing the season or either by the season if it's cancelled. There is no null and void option on the table, which I'm super happy about. So let me know guys, what do you think about that? And if you enjoy these types of videos, please leave a like and subscribe, turn on the bell notification so you never miss the latest videos. And in this video I will also reveal to you guys who became the BBC's player of the season and which is the team of the season. And there is 7 Liverpool players in that team of the season, so stick around, and in the second part of this video we will talk about that. Under wide-ranging powers given to the FA in an agreement signed in 1991 when the Premier League was established, the FA, so the English Football Association, the governing body, needs to consent to any changes to promotion and relegation from the Premier League and to the number of teams in the top flight. So some Premier League clubs are objecting to the season being resumed behind closed doors in neutral grounds next month, and at least one club wants relegation to be scrapped if that is to happen. And those clubs who are objecting to the season resuming, of course, are the bottom 6 clubs, teams like Norwich, Watford, West Ham, Bournemouth, Aston Villa. Teams are in and around relegation, Brighton as well. It is understood that the FA board has committed to supporting the Premier League's board's position that the league table should be decided on sporting merit, even if the season is cancelled, if it's cut short due to this global health crisis. That means the FA would insist that sporting merit from the Premier League's 2019-20 season, so this season, is used to determine both relegation and also qualification for the Champions League, the Europa League, and of course the title. It would also mean that Liverpool are almost certain to be declared the league champions even if the season cannot be completed, which is absolute music to my ears, because it would be one of the biggest injustices in football history if Liverpool, after winning 27 of their 29 games, and also after being 25 points clear of second place Manchester City, if Liverpool didn't get the title for this season's achievements, that would be an absolute travesty in my opinion. One FA board member actually told the Times newspaper that a null and void Premier League season with no relegation was viewed by the governing body as unacceptable. It remains unclear exactly how sporting merit would be determined in the event that the season could not be completed. Calculating the average number of points, 1 per game, has been used in other competitions such as the Rugby Union. The FA's ability to intervene stems from the founder members agreement in 1991 when the Premier League got established and separate from the Football League. Basically the FA has to agree to cancel promotion and relegation from and to the Premier League. And also the FA has the power over European qualification because it is the national association which submits representative teams to play in the Champions League and the Premier League, and the Europa League, sorry, not the Premier League. So it's not the Premier League who submits teams for the European competitions, but it's the FA itself. The founder members agreement and the FA's powers were referred to by EFL's chairman Rick Perry when he gave evidence to NPs on Tuesday. Perry was heavily involved in setting up the Premier League in '91 after being recruited from a different company where he worked as a management consultant. Ernst & Young is that company, if you are curious. And he became the new league's first chief executive in 1992. And Perry, when he was asked what would happen if there was a move to suspend relegation, and he responded with this: "It would be a breach of the tripartite agreement between us, the Premier League and the FA. I suspect the FA would also have a position on it." Perry also warned of very messy legal action if an attempt was made to stop promotion and relegation to and from the Premier League. The EFL is pushing ahead with plans for the Championship clubs to end the season behind closed doors, but it is looking increasingly likely that there is a little will among League One and League Two clubs to resume due to the cost of doing so, with no gate receipts coming in. So yeah, in League One and League Two, the majority of the revenue is coming in from gate receipts, and if they can't host fans in the stadiums, there is really very little gain to be had for those clubs, because they can't really generate a lot of funds in any other way. The TV rights money is not that much. And the main reasons why Premier League clubs are fearing relegation is that a bottom club in the Premier League stands to lose about 20 million in TV money if the season is not completed, but if they are relegated, they will lose as much as 60 million pounds next season. And yes, the parachute payments are there, they soften the blow to a limited extent, because Premier League clubs earn at least 100 million pounds in TV money compared to about 7 million pounds for a top club in the Championship. A relegated club gets 42 million in parachute payments, but then it gets lesser and lesser, and after 3 years you get no parachute payments. In theory, you would think that the parachute payments are a big help to securing promotion again, but it does not always work that way. And the matter of fact is that absolutely none of the 9 clubs relegated in the past 3 seasons has won promotion back to the top flight. And it just shows that the Championship is a brutally hard, brutally difficult league, and it's very difficult to get promoted from that league, especially straight away from going back down to the Championship from the Premier League. It's getting increasingly more and more difficult to bounce straight back up and get promoted again. And I can very, very happily reveal to you guys that Liverpool had almost had a clean sweep at the BBC's Footballing Awards this year. Jordan Henderson was named the player of the season. This was a fan vote, you have to take it into consideration, but it's still good that the Premier League's fans said that Jordan Henderson was the best player in the Premier League. This season, Trent Alexander-Arnold won the Young Player of the Year award, and also 7 Liverpool players made the BBC's Player of the Season, which is absolutely fantastic. And I really like this Player of the Season, except for 1 or 2 places. So Alisson was the goalkeeper of the season, Trent Alexander-Arnold the best right back and the best young player of the season. Van Dijk and Soyuncu were the 2 centre backs to become the 2 defenders in the player of the season. And Andy Robertson, another Liverpool player, won the best left back award in the player of the season team. And then 3 midfielders, De Bruyne, Henderson, and a surprise inclusion, Bruno Fernandes, who only played like 5 games in the Premier League, but Man United fans, I guess, and many fans were so impressed with him that they voted him into the player of the season. And I'm not sure who I would put into the 3rd spot. Maybe Fabinho I would put in alongside Henderson and De Bruyne, but you can debate with me who had the best season out of all the midfielders. And of course, the front line, there is really no debate. Salah, Aguero and Sadio Mane are the top attack play. They are the front 3 in this team of the season. Once again, Alisson Alexander-Arnold, Van Dijk, Soyuncu, Robertson, De Bruyne, Henderson, Bruno Fernandes, Salah, Aguero and Mane. That's the team of the season according to the BBC Sports fan vote, and I'm really happy that 7 Liverpool players actually are in this team of the season. Henderson took 23% of the player of the season vote. Mane was a close second with 17%, and bizarrely Salah only got 2% of the votes despite being on 16 Premier League goals so far this season, and he's just 3 goals behind top scorer Jamie Vardy. Considering that Salah scored 2 goals more than Mane, it's strange that Mane got 17% and Salah got only 2%. Trent Alexander-Arnold won the Young Player of the Year award with an absolute landslide, collecting 47% of the votes. Marcus Rashford on a 10%, being the second, and that is quite a big difference. And Jurgen Klopp became the manager of the season, no surprise there. He won his award in a similar fashion, collecting 55% of the votes. Sheffield United's Chris Wilder became second with 25% of the votes, but I would have liked this vote to take place when the Premier League season actually finishes. And Neil Jones, who used to work for the Liverpool Echo, he is now a correspondent at Goal.com, and he revealed that Liverpool's training ground is going to be partially opened up slowly. Several players have been able to train at Liverpool's Melwood base for hour-long outdoor sessions. So Liverpool have taken their first step towards the return to normality by partially reopening the Melwood training ground. What is happening is actually players are training individually and in small groups, but further apart. So they are not training with each other, they are training at the same time but individually. Basically each part of Melwood is designed for one player to train alone, and also they have of course their training regimes at home as well. Access to the building at Melwood itself is forbidden, with Liverpool insisting that the players' return is simply a practical one. Some players have found themselves unable to train in public parks or run on the streets near to their homes because of the attention they attract. None of Liverpool's coaching staff, Jurgen Klopp included, have returned, with group sessions still being conducted remotely via the Zoom app, where players and staff join in with daily stretching and fitness sessions. And players are given their own individual running programs to follow in their own time as they look to keep themselves ticking over fitness-wise. And the news comes from with the Premier League targeting a league-wide return to training from May 18th, but those will be done also in small groups as well. And the Premier League clubs still want to finish the season. Yes, the bottom 6 teams have been a little bit divided from the rest of the group. They want the relegation to be scrapped so they are saved from fighting against relegation. But I think the relegation fight is one of the most interesting fights throughout the season, and a lot of games would be meaningless without relegation. So I think that the FA won't allow it. We already talked about that earlier. And Steven Gerrard had an interview at talkSport where he said this: Liverpool will always be my team. I don't think anyone would argue against me with that. I was there for many years all the way through, and I had a good career there. I've supported them from the day I left. I will always support them and back them. The fans make a club, and the fans at Liverpool are special. They always have been with me, and that's where we get our connection from. But this is the start for me at Rangers now. We are 2 years in, and I'm hungry to continue there. My relationship with Rangers is strong and it's growing. Of course, it's got a place in my heart. I knew Rangers was a top club from the outside, and I was lucky to get the opportunity to go up there. Was it a bit early to get a job of that size? Of course, but they have given me an opportunity to try and learn on the job, and I know I haven't got everything right. I've made some mistakes along the way, but I think there was an openness that would be the case. Celtic have been a good side for a long time. I think you have to admit that, and that's the challenge. But one thing is for sure, we will continue to push as hard as we can to try and break their dominance. The thought of bringing some success to this club because of what the fans have been through before I even arrived that is a big buzz for me and something I will be striving as hard as I can for. And I think Gerrard has done a very, very good job at Rangers. He's up against it with Celtic being so dominant. They are on course to win like 10 Scottish League titles in a row. But sooner or later, if you give him time and money, then Rangers with Gerrard can maybe win some trophies up there in Scotland. Remember when Liverpool lost to Watford and we lost to the invincible season? Many former Arsenal players came out of the woodwork and celebrated that loss like it was a trophy for Arsenal or something like that. And Thierry Henry actually disagrees with his former teammates. This is what he said about Liverpool. All I want to say is, Liverpool, wow, they lost at Watford. I thought they were going to go all the way unbeaten. I think it would have been good for the game. Why I think is because the way they would have done it, the way they are playing football the right way. Passion, commitment, organization, desire, working hard. Their football is contagious. So I think when you are like that, you want them to be successful. I'm not having a go at people who think about defending first. But my view of the game is exactly how Liverpool plays or how Barcelona plays. A different way, but going forward, in your face, being great, taking the ball, going forward, but putting pressure on the opposition. And that's why I wanted them to do it, because it would have been good for the game. And that's a very interesting take from Henry, because he was part of that invincible team that went unbeaten for a whole season, and that is forever in the history books. But if if another team goes unbeaten, that doesn't take away from the success that Arsenal had in that season. So that's why it was really weird to see Arsenal fans and Arsenal former players coming out and celebrating like crazy. And yesterday was the 1-year anniversary of that magnificent game of Liverpool beating Barcelona 4-0 in the Champions League semi-final second leg. And Andy Robertson gave an interview on Peter Crouch's podcast saying that he regrets a little bit how he behaved that night. I think he shouldn't, because he definitely got under the skin of Messi. But let's hear what Andy Robertson has to say. Me and Fabinho were tracking Messi back. We both ended up on the ground. I just ruffled his hair a wee bit. He wasn't too happy, but it's something I wouldn't do again, that's for sure. It's just disrespectful to the best player that's ever played this game. That game was like in the changing room. I've never seen a changing room like it. We were so pumped up for the game, and unfortunately it happened too early, didn't it? He was on the ground, I was on the ground. I don't know what came over me. I do regret it, but it's something everyone relates to me now, which isn't the best. If I was thinking it wouldn't have been done, I wasn't thinking clearly. But it was in a heat of the moment, and sometimes even the best players like Zidane lose it in a really big game. And I mean, Robertson, what he did is nowhere near that headbutt that Zidane did in the World Cup final, but it shows that even the best players can sometimes lose their temper momentarily. I think the main thing is Robertson is a class act, that he doesn't really behave that way regularly. And Robertson also said, if you ask me now what I would want to do, I would love to retire at Liverpool, of course, but you know how hard it is to play at the highest of levels until you are 35, 36 years old. I would love to pull on the Celtic top and walk out at Parkhead. Do I want to go back at one point to even just witness a game? Yeah, maybe. So yeah, I think that after Robertson is over the hill at like 33, maybe he can go back to Celtic and have 1 or 2 seasons there. But until Robertson can do the business on the pitch, I want him to stay at Liverpool as long as it's possible. And Christian Falk, who is a journalist working in and around the Bundesliga, said that as soon as FC Bayern Munich and Manchester City can find an agreement, Leroy Sané will sign a 5-year contract with Bayern Munich, because the club Bayern and the player Sané have reached an agreement. That's what he's reporting for Sport Bild, a German sports newspaper, and that means that Manchester City will be weakened next season, and I'm sure they will sign a replacement for big money. But still, Leroy Sané is one of the best wingers in the Premier League, even though he was out injured for this season. I think it's a great plus for Liverpool and for other rivals who want to overtake Manchester City, that probably his replacement won't be as good as Leroy Sané, but we can't tell that for sure. But I just wanted to report this news for you guys, and I really hope that you guys enjoy this. Thanks for watching. See you later. Goodbye.